Hi everyone. So I would like to tell you about an activity which I hated, and I still hate, and I will never do again. These are true tales of my African adventures. May this inspire you, deter you, caution you, and above all, entertain you. When I started with the game capturing activities I was part of in my younger days, we learnt quickly. And in the game capturing industry, you learn things very quickly. Because if you don't, you could be taken away in a black bag. So you learn very quickly. But there are other activities which I quickly learnt about. And I would like to tell you about one of those. So the mechanic for the game capturing outfit, he was a big, robust Afrikaans fellow, and he knew vehicles. He could fix anything. He didn't even need spanner because his fingers were like spanners. He was an amazing chap. Big, strong, robust hands that were just huge and calloused from all his work in these field trips. And he was always at hand. But he got involved in the game capturing too. And he came to us one afternoon and said, "Hey guys, we're going to do something special tonight." I said, "Oh, great." So the evening came and he said, "Well, we'll be out a few hours." Came in the Land Cruiser, picked us up, bunch of sacks on the back of the vehicle, and he briefed us. He said, "We're going to catch porcupines." Well, I had never caught porcupines before, and I didn't even know how one caught a porcupine. All I knew is they were pretty cute, had teeth like a beaver's, could just about eat anything. They go through water pipes, roots, trees, strip bark off trees, and they run, and they often injure lions and leopards. And in India they've turned many a tiger and leopard into a man-eater because they put the spikes into the leopard or the tiger, and the leopard or tiger becomes partly incapacitated and needs to go for softer prey. You'll read about this, as I've mentioned once before, in Jim Corbett's books on hunting and killing man-eating tigers and man-eating leopards in India. Fascinating stories. Anyway, so he said it's very easy to catch them. Well, I can tell you it isn't actually, but anyway, he said it was. What you do is he drives at the porcupine, which is now running on flat ground. You jump out of the vehicle. Presumably you wouldn't be going too fast. And you run behind the porcupine, and as it runs, its back feet, little black pads, stick up as he pushes his foot backwards. And there are no spikes on the feet. And he says what you do is you watch those feet, you run behind the feet and you watch them coming up, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, and then you bend over and grab one of the feet and you lift him up. Now, bearing in mind these things can be from 20 pounds to 60 pounds. It may not be that easy. You know, picking up 60 pounds like that in one hand of squirming animal with 1,000 missiles on it, not going to be that easy. Anyway, we thought we'd just go out and try this. So we went out and into the plains, spotlights on, and there you see myriad of animals. You see jackals, hyenas, all sorts of creatures staring at you, skunks, bat-eared foxes, aardwolf, which is a strange animal, sort of half between a fox and a hyena, and then porcupines. And when we saw the porcupines, he targeted them with a vehicle, went straight for them. We jumped out, and so I said, well, here goes my initiation. And I ran after the first porcupine, and watch the feet, and as he said, you see the feet coming 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, and you start to get the rhythm in your eyesight and in your mind. And you've got the sack in your left hand if you're right-handed. And then I lunged and got one of the feet. It wasn't too big, probably, I don't know, 40, 50 pounds. Picked it up. It was kind of heavy and squirming around a bit in the air. And then the mechanic came with a big sack, opened it up, and I dropped it headfirst into the sack. Now I've got a pat on the back, and that was great. So now I've caught my first porcupine. So let's get another one. That porcupine went into the back of the vehicle, ready for his trap cage later that night. They had been ordered by a client with a zoo or some institution or another. It wasn't long and I was after the second one. One thing I had been told but not remembered, and it didn't mean anything to me in any case, having not experienced it, is that porcupines do not shoot their quills out, even though I called them missiles. They don't shoot their quills out. Actually, they run quite fast in a forwardly direction, and when you get close to them, they stop and reverse at the same speed, almost without a break. And they run into you. And when they run into you, those big quills that are facing backwards are up and erect, and they stick into you. Well, this porcupine did that. I was behind it. I was just about to bend down and grab its foot when the next thing, it was attached to my leg. And I couldn't figure out what happened because it was so quick. He stopped and reversed, and he reversed at such a speed, and he hit my leg. Now, I did have boots on, but he got 2 quills above my boots that went at least halfway through my leg, and several that went into my boots, where a couple of them made small holes in my leg. And this I didn't think was very funny at all, despite the fact that the others thought it was. Anyway, the porcupine ran off and left me with this gift of quills, and it was very painful. And I took my boots off to pull the quills out of the boots, and it was bleeding quite a lot because they had gone in some distance. And then the 2 in my leg, I thought, now it's hospital to get these removed. But no, not as far as the mechanic was concerned. He grabbed them and yanked them straight out. And my hair just about fell out, because that was painful. And then, boy, was there blood. Anyway, it wasn't long, and the bleeding began to subside, and everyone was now kind of bored with me and my pain and my blood and everything, so they figured we should continue. Of course, when you're young and your intelligence has slipped out of your ear, you go ahead and do this thing again. Instead of packing up, you should pack up at that point, you see. So I went after my third porcupine. And I was getting quite close to it when it did its stop trick again, but this time I caught it. I saw the stop trick, but I couldn't stop my momentum, so I twisted to my side so that I wouldn't land on top of the porcupine. And as my head hit the ground, there was a searing pain in the side of my head, and I thought I had landed on the porcupine. Anyway, he ran off, so I hadn't. And what had happened is I'd fallen on some grass stubble, that winter stubble, and a piece of hard winter grass stubble had gone into my ear and into my eardrum. Well, now I had a greater pain to concentrate on, so the pain in my leg now disappeared because the pain in my ear was the bigger pain. So then we packed up because I was now no good for anything. Back off to our bungalows and what have you. And the mechanic, of course, being ever resourceful, said he knows how to deal with the hole in my ear, being a farmer most of his life and understanding these injuries which he's seen before. He says what you do is you take a teaspoon, put some oil in it. I hope it wasn't gearbox oil or something. It was probably sunflower oil. You heat it up in the teaspoon and pour it in the ear. It then cauterizes the wound, kills the bacteria, stops the bleeding, and Bob's your uncle, according to him. Except for one thing, he overheated the oil, which he didn't know, because he couldn't know because he was so thick-skinned. And he poured this hot oil down my ear. Now I understood what pain really meant, because now I went through the roof. He sure cauterized the wound. For that, you can be absolutely certain of that, but he cauterized my ear virtually. Anyway, I did recover one day, but that is my least favorite activity, one which I will never repeat.